Today's Talk About It Tuesday question is, one of my New Year's resolutions is to finally turn my side hustle into a real business. What are some little known challenges that new business owners face that I should prepare for to better position myself for success? Great question. I'm excited about this resolution. Person's finally going to become legitimate and do a real business and enter the world of entrepreneurship. But there are some real legitimate concerns that often cause new entrepreneurs to fail because you don't really consider these things when you have a side hustle. The first thing, and I'm going to go real broad and then put some narrower things in it, is the understanding of money in business. So most side hustle people who become new business owners don't understand the necessity of creating a budget for everything in the business. Every single dime has to be accounted for. Every expense needs to be covered. You still have to be able to pay yourself and suppliers and employees. So to be able to manage money effectively is a skill that causes a lot of new business owners to fail because they don't take the time to understand that. So that means also cash flow management and how much cash flow is required daily to operate. How much credit, the establishment of credit, and how much credit is necessary, and how much credit you can extend before you overextend and you can't keep up and it causes you to fail. How to price your stuff appropriately. There, as a side hustle, that means you're making money somewhere else. So every dollar seems like extra money. But when you have a lot of other costs to cover now, especially once you scale, it's difficult to price it properly, right? So most new business owners underprice. They don't take into account all of their expenses and all of their time and the ability to replace their current income. I think, those are some of the big issues when it comes to money. I think the next thing is the idea of scalability. You can't do more of the same that you did as a side hustler and think that it's going to allow your business to grow. Most people don't have a growth plan. They don't understand the increase in time, energy, effort, expense, resources that it takes to expand. And sometimes some businesses are just not scalable. If it's a business that is only you don't have enough time, energy, and resources as an individual to scale if you get more clients. How are you going to service more clients? How are you going to create more product? Especially if it's a craft. You know, a lot of people, they might, I don't know, make jewelry. Okay, how much jewelry can you make as an individual? So you can't legitimately scale even if you got the customers. So I think what it takes to scale, the plan to scale, the resources to scale, the money it takes to scale, the time it takes to scale. I don't think people have a realistic plan for that, and therefore they don't end up making the profits that are necessary because they can't scale and don't know how to scale. With scaling comes marketing. You can't, as an individual who has a side hustle, a lot of times you get referrals or it's your inner circle, people you know. No, now you have to really get out and understand your demographic, how to reach your demographic, what's going to speak to your demographic and make them pay for your product. Choose your product over somebody else's or your service over somebody else's. And you have to have a marketing budget for that, right? You have to know how many people you have to reach before it turns into a purchase. So marketing is going to be big if you're going to scale, if you're going to be a legitimate business. I think number 4, time management is a huge killer. Okay, when you have a job, somebody tells you what time to be there, what the priorities are, when you can eat lunch, when you're going to get paid. You have to figure out all this now. You have to decide what the priorities are. You have to decide what you're going to do during the day, what takes precedent. You're going to have to decide the order of operations. You're going to have to decide where you use your now valuable time, every minute of your time. You're going to have to understand also the time commitment as a new business owner. You might not have you probably won't have an 8-hour day anymore. You might have 12-hour days now. You might have 14-hour days now, especially in the beginning. So understanding time and time management will be critical. And I think a lot of people underestimate that, and they fail because now it's easy to procrastinate. It's easy to do the things you like instead of doing the things that are necessary. So time management is critical. And I think the other big one is trying to do everything by yourself. As a side hustle, you could probably do everything by yourself. As a business owner, your goal is not to work in the business, is to work on the business, which means you create the priorities, you create the vision, you create the planning, and you manage other people to success in your business. You're the business owner, right? So you have to understand human resources, whether that's outsourcing, whether that's understanding suppliers, whether manufacturers, drop shippers, or whatever it is that you have to put all those pieces in place and manage that and allow others to do the work. Even if you have employees, right? And employees, that's rough in itself to manage employees. So trying to do everything alone is a huge killer, and would definitely lead to disaster. You have to understand what technologies make life easier, so that, and I always say technology overcomes biology. There's only a certain amount of things you're capable of doing in a certain amount of time in a day, and technology tends to make things more efficient, faster. You can expand broader. So understanding technology and human resources and taking advantage of that fully, and being in a position where you're comfortable creating the vision and letting other people drive the vision. So I think those 5 things are probably my top 5 that you have to be concerned with. So understanding money in regards to business, having a plan and an ability to scale, marketing, time management, and not trying to do everything alone by yourself. So those are my top 5. I think if you focus on those now and create a plan to deal with those things, to address those things ahead of time, it'll make life a lot easier. But I'd love to hear from other new entrepreneurs or even seasoned entrepreneurs. What are some things that you can offer to new entrepreneurs to consider? But please like, share, subscribe, keep the questions coming, and I'll see you next Tuesday.